we have a new swimmer line coming out.
Yes.
So tell me, how did you get started?
So Sorella Swim is my swimwear line, and it's launching now. I got started in this, well, I've always been involved in design for 11 years in the industry, always working for bigger manufacturers and bigger companies as a part of their design team. And in that whole time in my career, in the 11 years, I ended up working for Torrid for about 2 years. And I was able to launch a design team with them. And that was really where I started to fall in love designing for the Curvy Woman, because she was so grateful. It was unbelievable. And I think working at Torrid, we had to work in the stores at times, and we had to really be engaged with the customer, and it was just amazing how grateful and how eager they were to tell you what they wanted. And when they love something, their face lit up, and it was rewarding.
And that's something that, you know, especially with social media now, that has given that kind of awoken a voice within the plus size woman.
Yes.
And she's speaking up because people are listening,
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah.
So you had said you've been doing design for 11 years.
Yes.
So aside from Torrid, where else have you gotten your education?
Education, I went to FIT, the Fashion Institute in New York. But I mostly worked in kids' clothing. I love designing for children. But you know what, I think it's the two markets are very similar, and that probably sounds funny, but they're a softer industry than the woman's straight size industry. They're softer people that are a part of it, because it's not the leading cutting edge, or it never has been. The people just tend to be a little bit softer, more genuine, and it's more heartfelt. So I think that's why I fell into those two areas. And Torrid also really kind of resonated with me because my best friend from college, I met her in college, has always been curvy since she was a kid. And we got really close when we would go shopping together in New York. We could never shop.
Where would she go?
Where would she? She had nothing. You know, we would go clubbing and we'd go out and we'd party. She had nothing to wear. And when I met her, she was actually wearing Liz Claiborne. I didn't know any 19-year-old that even knew who Liz Claiborne was. I wasn't definitely not a fan. So it was depressing, you know. And so working for Torrid was great. But then when I finally decided that I wanted to launch my own line, because I've always wanted to do that, I decided that the curvy world was really where I wanted it to be.
So tell us then, Sorella.
Yes.
Where did the name come from? What does the name mean?
So that actually goes back to my best friend Rosemary. Sorella means sisters in Italian.
Oh.
And so I call her my sister because we're that close. And she's Italian, so that's where Sorella came from.
With the collection,
yes.
When is it set to launch?
So it's launching now. It is a spring-summer 2012 collection. It is hitting stores right for Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving.
Perfect.
Lindsay Todd is our model for the line. So she's been the model through the whole year. She started, we even fit on her, so she's also my fit model. She's actually wearing the signature one-piece medallion suit. So that's our signature suit, and that'll carry season after season.
Like how many pieces make up the whole collection? And tell me about the pieces.
Okay, so the first collection is pretty small. It's only 8 swimsuits, 2 cover-ups. There are 2 one-piece swimsuits, one of them being the signature one-piece. And then there's more of a fashion one, which has the more fashion pieces have minimal hardware on them.
Okay.
So because I know some people just don't like the big logos and the medallions. And then there's 3 separate tops and 3 bottoms. And all the bottoms range in coverage. There's a more full coverage, which is a skirted bottom, then a moderate, which is a little bit more of a high-waisted, it's not a boy short, it doesn't go that
Similar
long.
to this.
Yeah. And then a plain bottom, more of a brief style that can just go with anything. And then we have 2 tankinis and 1 bikini top.
Nice. So what are the size ranges?
We go from size 10 to 24. So I get mixed feedback on that because people are like, well, size 10 is not plus size. And I'm like, no, that's why I market to the curvy woman. Because a size 10 woman has just as much of a hard time, sometimes harder, finding a brand that's going to fit her because she's in between 2 worlds.
Right.
And she tries to put herself into the, well, in swimwear especially, the straight size swimwear, and it does not cut for her.
Oh my God, tell me about it. Like, I love that you just said that because, and especially too with a lot of brands and retailers that cut and stop at a 10.
Exactly.
Or they constitute a 10 as an extra large.
Extra large, right.
And this
very
woman
common in
is,
swimwear.
right, and this woman's kind of confused.
Right.
So that makes complete sense. And you're not the first designer, and I appreciate the ones that do start at that 10 because it helps bridge that gap.
Right.
And then, you know,
there should be no gap.
there shouldn't be, but
Right.
yeah, but
There
there
is,
but
you're
there
right.
is. But in that sense, though, like, thank you for that. So, with the girls,
Yes.
you know, I noticed that you said you have 2 tankinis
Yes.
and a bikini top.
Yes.
So, are they by cup, by bra size,
They're
or?
not. So right now we're doing it, and they also, I'm trying to educate a little bit about support. All 3 of the styles have a different level of support in them, and that purposely so because there's so many different sizes. So the bikini top offers a tie neck and a tie back, so you can adjust it where it needs to be. All 3 pieces do have a molded sewn-in cup because shape is so important, and that's half of the support issue. So if you have a nice shape. I'm not offering underwire in any of the pieces. And the reason being is I didn't want to get any of the chafing or the rubbing or the uncomfortable feeling because it's very easy to get the same amount of support that underwire gives you other ways. And that's what I wanted to educate with Sorella Swim. So in some of the pieces they have an underbust elastic. In the tankini, the one shoulder tankini for example, it has underbust elastic that goes all the way around. So this is by far the most supportive top. It almost fits like a sports bra.
Okay.
So if you were more active and you really, I mean, I'm more of a lounger in my swimwear, so I don't need to be active. But if you're more in the pool and you're in the water and you want to be more active,
Right.
this one offers a lot of support. The signature one-piece swimsuit also comes in a tankini version, and that piece has cut and sew molded cups. So that gives you the very Hollywood glamour push-up look. And that one doesn't actually have any underbust elastic because it's not necessary for the lift. So
I love the detailing. Like
Yeah.
I love that you know it and you speak directly to it because these are things that they're kind of like luxuries right now because it's so few and far between. I mean, you have emerging designers and brands, but to speak to someone who can articulate the why and answer the why question
it's
is
important. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
And because people don't understand why it fits that way, or what do they need it? How do they need it to fit to get the proper support?
Right.
Yes.
Very fun. So, are you on Twitter?
Yes, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook.
Under Sorella.
Under Sorella Swim.
Sorella Swim.
Yeah.
On both.
On both.
Okay.
Yes.
So at Sorella Swim and then Facebook Sorella Swim.
Yeah.
So you were talking about that that you have Twitter and you're on Facebook.
Yes.
So on Twitter, are we talking to some representative or who are we talking to?
You're talking directly to me. So if you have a question for the designer, you have some thoughts about the line, you want to give me some ideas for next season even, I would love to hear them. So
That's great. That's great. And I love when brands do that.
Yes. It's important that the designer hear it. It's important. I've always felt that, and the designer be in the stores and see the customer's reaction and speak to the sales representatives. They're the ones getting all the feedback.
So what type of feedback have you been receiving already?
Excited. Most people are really excited that there's a brand out there. I think there's a lot of questions about like the branding in general. They've never been offered a brand. Or nothing that actually spoke to the brand. It's all just been somewhere from who knows where. People are really excited about, I think, the cover-ups and the luxury feeling of it. I think there's some concern about price point. I think there needs to be some education around, why it is the price it is and the kind of quality and make that they're going to get with buying these pieces.
So when you talk about like something of the quality, like tell me a little bit about the fabric and the fabrication and why you've chosen it and what goes into a Sorella swimsuit.
Sure. Well, here I can show you one of the pieces. So this is the signature one-piece medallion swimsuit. It's a circular knit, so it's an 8317 nylon spandex. The reason I use a circular knit is because it stretches all directions. Not just a traditional swimwear piece stretches four-way, like a tricot. So she gets an insane amount of forgiveness and recovery in this. So there will be no bagging and sagging in a circular knit. It will stay nice and tight and fit the way
You're totally
it's supposed to.
making me just so happy right now. I'm sitting here just like, I love you. Okay, go ahead.
No, and so the other thing that was very important to me, I think it's a part of luxury in general, is a soft hand feel.
Yeah,
it has
I'm
to feel
sitting
like
here.
butter. Yeah. So all my pieces feel very soft to the touch. They're all fully lined, so you get that second skin feeling, but I don't do tummy tuck panels or power mesh because I don't want her to feel pinched or cinched. I don't want to alter her figure. I want to make her feel good and secure, but I want her to be comfortable.
High five. Because, not everybody wants to wear, or feel like sucked and tucked in.
Yes.
Some people are comfortable just with where they are.
Exactly.
And
they should be. And they should be.
Right.
So, that was the plan with Sorella Swim, is to really also say, I love my body. I'm comfortable with my curves. And I want to show them off, but the right way,
Aww.
So.
I'm totally having like a love fest with you right now.
Every woman, she wants to look good. And every woman struggles with body image at some point. And I just think it's really important that every woman know that she can be beautiful, and she just needs to know how to dress properly and what she can wear. I mean, so, even though we don't do tummy tuck panels and things like that, it is a higher cut back so that it comes up on her and it holds her in and she feels secure. There is a lower cut leg, so it's not all high and you feel like everything's kind of hanging out. So everything, the shearing panels really kind of hide and camouflage.
I want to feel the cuts, the molded cuts.
Yeah.
So I can feel this, yes.
Yeah, so this is an example of a cut and sew molded cup, which they really don't do in swimwear anymore. It's a very Marilyn Monroe, that, 50s, 40s and 50s when they did that. So, my manufacturer was kind of like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do a cut and sew molded. And they don't do that anymore. I was like, well, I want to try it.
I love that they said they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I love that. You're like, well, I'm bringing it back.
I'm bringing it back. I want to try, and we worked for a year on the fit with Lindsay. And I felt Lindsay was she's not, I think a lot of times with swimwear lines and the full figure lines, they use models that aren't really full figure. She's a size 6, she's a size 8, but she's not really full figure. Lindsay's great. Lindsay's a 14, 16, around there. And she was really vocal about what she felt good in. Yes, I feel supported. She's a double D chest. That feels good. No, I don't like that there. So it was a lot. It was a lot of struggle back and forth, but we got there.
That's amazing. A little birdie told me that aside from Sorella, you also have another plus size project that you do.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Okay, I have BigGirlRunway.com. It's a fashion blog dedicated to curvy women. I have 2 editors that work with me. They casually write articles here and there, just everything and anything relating to curvy fashion. We write about different trade shows that are happening, different events, different new lines that come out. We wrote an article about Rachel Palley's white collection. I also write articles just about fashion that inspires me in general. So for example, today I wrote an article about Alice and Olivia's kind of bright sorbet colors for spring.
Mm-hmm.
So, just inspiring fashion talk. And that's also, we also have that on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm really, really, really excited, and I need to find somewhere to go to wear a bathing suit. I think
soon. It's cold now, but soon.
I know, right? Well, there's always like the other places outside of the United States that's still warm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all, it's summer somewhere.
always warm weather thoughts for me.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
this
you.
is like, I'm really happy.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.